Hello, it's September 9th, 2025, and this is your morning briefing from Anchor Watch. I'm Bobby Jones. Let's get right into it. Here's the first of three stories I think you should be aware of starting your day. Story number one: the Supreme Court has allowed President Trump's temporary removal of Democratic FTC Commissioner Rebecca Slaughter while legal proceedings continue. This action follows Trump's petition to bypass protections for independent agency officials under the FDA's precedence cases. The justices issued a stay on a lower court's ruling last week, giving Slaughter's legal team until September 15th to respond. What does this mean in the big picture? This is once again an attack on agencies that are supposed to have independence from the office of the president. But in this case, President Trump wants to get certain deals passed or certain things pushed through, and he is removing any opposition from historically traditional independent agencies. It's going to be interesting to see if Ms. Slaughter will be able to counter this argument on September 15th and to see if the Supreme Court buys it. Story number two. In a speech that disturbed many, President Trump gave a speech at the Museum of the Bible, suggesting that domestic violence incidents like, quote, a little fight with the wife, unquote, should not be counted as crimes, claiming that these particular crime stats skew overall crime statistics. Specifically, he was referring to Washington, D.C., and how he has brought down crime by, in his words, 100%. He believes that domestic violence is not truly a crime and therefore should not be counted amongst crime statistics nationally. At least that's what he heavily implied. The comment drew widespread backlash from domestic violence advocates who called his remarks not only dismissive, but extremely dangerous. And for the final story, shifting to healthcare and the economy, Americans are facing the steepest rise in health insurance premiums in 15 years. Employer-sponsored plans are projected to rise 6.5% on average in 2026, while ACA marketplace plans could increase by a median of 18%. These hikes are tied to inflation, tariffs, and the impending expiration of ACA premium subsidies. These are all policies that President Trump and the current administration have decided electively to do. Experts warn millions may lose coverage without legislative fixes. Again, this is compounded by the quote big beautiful bill, the adding of tariffs across the world, and not allowing for ACA coverages premiums to be renewed as far as subsidies go. President Trump and his team seems to be very concerned about the fallout of this because in the last week he has proactively reached out to various GOP congressional members telling them to start changing the branding of the quote one big beautiful bill. He recognizes that people see it as very negative. As a matter of fact, it's the most negative legislation passed in the last 40 years, according to polling. So going into 2026 with midterms, Americans going to be in quite the economic crunch, and it's all self-inflicted. I'll be live streaming tonight on Anchor Watch. Please tune in at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we have a special guest that will refer and talk to you about the legality of the things that have happened since the second Trump administration has started. Please join us.